Hi, I'm Christopher Schwartz. I am the corporate executive chef with Tom Douglas Restaurants here in Seattle. I started working in the kitchen when I was 15, and I've done nothing else ever since. Me and my girlfriend at the time moved to Seattle a long time ago, 23 years it is now, and just was lucky enough to latch on with the Tom Douglas Group at that time, back when there was only 2 restaurants. Now we're up to 14 restaurants. I've worked for Tom and his wife Jackie ever since. We're gonna make a pan-seared wild Alaska pollock, delicata squash with a little coriander creme fraiche, and a charred jalapeno vinaigrette. I'm gonna char the jalapenos and the red Fresnos in a couple different ways you can do it. You can char them whole, or what I like to do is I like to take the stem off and then just take my seeds out. In the meantime, I'm gonna go ahead and I wanna take some of my red onion here, and we're gonna macerate the onion. And you just wanna blister the peppers on all sides. So I'm gonna take a little bit of salt, and I have red wine vinegar, and a little apple cider vinegar, and a little bit of chopped garlic here that I'm gonna add. Just gonna let that macerate and let sit for a couple minutes while I'm charring my peppers. To our onion mixture, I'm gonna add a little bit of chipotle puree, Dijon mustard, and a little bit of honey, and we have some fresh basil here, which I'm gonna add at the very, very end. Just gonna mix that in there. Nice big chunks, doesn't have to be very fine. And then I'm gonna add a little bit of olive oil. And the fresh basil. Kind of just do a rough chiffonade cut on that. And that's our vinaigrette that we're gonna use. Next, we're going to make a Harissa Glaze, or sort of like a Harissa vinaigrette. So the Delicata is great, it's very versatile squash. The nice thing about the Delicata is you can eat the skin, which you know, a lot of other squashes you can't. So for this, we're just going to cut the ends off, split it in half, and then we can take a spoon and just scoop the seeds out. So this is what we're shooting for, which we did. We pre-roasted these, a little olive oil, salt, and pepper. For the Harissa Glaze, it's super simple, very, very easy. Again, I have a little bit of red onion that I'm gonna mince. And again, we're gonna start to sprinkle of salt, and I have a little bit of red wine vinegar here. A little bit of honey. If you're not familiar, harissa, it's like a Moroccan chili paste with like lots of different spices. So then I'm gonna add my olive oil and my chopped parsley. And this is what we're gonna coat the squash in when we plate up. This is it's a coriander chutney. We're gonna just take the sour cream or creme fraiche, a little bit of that coriander chutney, squeeze of lime juice or squeeze of fresh lime, a little bit of salt, and a little bit of pepper. So there's our coriander creme fraiche that we're gonna use when we plate up our fish. In this day and age, being a chef is not only about cooking food and making food, it's about educating the community and really being at the forefront in a lot of some of these issues. There's just gonna be different ways of going about to finding resources and finding ways to feed people. You know, everyone comes to Seattle and they automatically want you know, halibut or salmon or Dungeness crab, which is great, but as you know, those are only so limited as well to a certain extent. So we have to be at the forefront of trying to figure out what else is out there. So since the squash is already roasted, I'm just really need to warm it up. So we're gonna put a little bit in the pan here. Okay, and then meanwhile, we cook our fish. There's our wild Alaska pollock. I did remove the skin and we kind of patted it dry. I'm just gonna simply season this up, a little salt and pepper. To get my oil nice and hot. Another component I'm just gonna dice up on the side here. We're gonna use a little bit of Belgian endive as a sort of a garnish here. So while my pan is heating up, I'm gonna go ahead and cut the core out. Just kind of julienne my endive up into big pieces. Now my pan is nice and hot here. For our plate up, I'm gonna take a little bit of that coriander crumb fresh. A little smear on the plate. My harissa. Glaze the squash, make sure it's nice and coated. Hopefully my fish is not sticking, which it's not. Nice. Now we'll just put a few pieces of the glazed squash down. A little bit of the endive. Kind of adds a little freshness, a little crunch to the dish. A little quick saute, and since the fillets are nice and thin and small, it doesn't take very long to cook at all. Do a little butter baste, a little fresh lemon with that. We're gonna take our nice brown butter and start to just baste our pollock fillets a little bit. We'll squeeze a lemon. And then we'll take our charred jalapeno, a little drizzle of that. And I was talking about the toasted seeds, so we have some seeds. And a little bit of sprouts, a little daikon radish sprouts. So there's our final dish. Our pan-seared wild Alaska pollock with Harissa Glaze, Delicata squash, coriander creme fraiche, and the charred jalapeno vinaigrette.